Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm a senior model designer at the LEGO Group.
And I'm Wes, and I'm a design master at the LEGO Group.
So this model shows the scene that we see in the first Lord of the Rings film, The Fellowship of the Ring, where all of the members of the Fellowship meet up together and discuss what the future of the ring is going to be. We really wanted to create that journey that you feel when you see Rivendell for the first time in the movie. So we have the bridge where the characters can walk across as they kind of enter the valley. We also have the forge and armory where we can see the Narsil sword getting reforged later on. We also have a gazebo, which is very iconic and kind of like that opening shot. And then this whole area is just filled with waterfalls and nature, so we have a lot of that kind of captured in. And then as you enter, you start seeing Elrond's main chambers, which has the council ring and a lot of other details inside.
And we also have a deep back room where there's a lot of desks and maps and details like that. We have, of course, the statue with the broken Narsil sword. And then there's also Bilbo's room, the area where he gives Frodo the chainmail shirt and Sting. And then there's also kind of a small entryway down in the bottom with a bookshelf with lots of Elvish books. The layout is roughly based on a blueprint of the actual set for the movie filming, and that's how we figured out where everything should be located. We took some creative liberties because obviously the set only shows what's necessary for the shot. So we were able to have some creative license to, for instance, the tower with all the statues. In the movie, it's kind of a ruined tower where it's kind of crumbling, but we decided it'd be nice to have it more of a complete tower to get that iconic Rivendell roof shape in there.
There are three of us model designers working on the set together. Mike, who's not here right now, and then Wes and myself. So once we kind of had the overall layout of how this was going to fit together, we decided where split lines were going to be so that it could come apart for assembly and for moving it around before you put it back in its display spot.
It was a very big project. I worked together with 4 of my colleagues, Agnieszka Ulatowska, Daniel Lunding, Madison O'Neill, and Georgi Georgievich. Luckily, I had them to help because, the amount of graphic work was a lot in this set. And the enthusiasm was so big that we were doing Lord of the Rings again that people really wanted to reach out and help.
So you get loads of minifigs in this set. You get the hobbits, Sam, Frodo, Bilbo, Merry, and Pippin. You also get Arwen, who is reading a book in her gazebo. Then we have our favorite trio of Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn. You also get Boromir and Gandalf, 2 elves who are part of Rivendell, Elrond, of course, who is heading the council meeting, as well as an older dwarf who also attends the meeting. And there are 6 statues. 5 of them make up the base at the bottom of the tower, and then 1 is holding the broken Narsil sword hilt inside of the building.
A few figures have the dress element, and a challenge with this was that they cannot sit down when they are in the council meeting. So we had to come up with a way to make these figures sit. With a lot of discussion and brainstorming with the other designers, we came up with this idea to give them like a build to be seated. So this is actually basically a slow piece that is attached to some other bricks, and what you can do is you can take off the dress element and then you can place the build on here, and this decoration is the same as the dress decoration. That makes it so that the figure can be seated down. And we did this for Elrond and for Gandalf. For Frodo we have another solution because he also has to be seated down in the council. You can take off his legs, and then we have these other Lego bricks that you can just paste under his body, and that makes him also be seated down. So we have 2 solutions for the seated problem, and I think it's quite clever that we came up with this solution.
On this set, I got to work with my very talented colleagues Mani and Gide, and we created a bunch of new elements. For the minifigures, we have so many in the set, and we wanted to really do justice to them, and we basically have the elves that we needed a new wig for them. So our talented colleague Gide sculpted the new wigs, and we have the wigs in several colors in the set. For Gimli, we redesigned the helmet and redesigned the beard so the new beard could fit with an existing wig that we have, because in the council, Gimli appears without his helmet.
One of my favorite parts of this model is when we were trying to create some of the furniture that we see in the film. Some of them was like very intricate and curvy and difficult to build out of, you know, traditional Lego elements that you would expect to build a chair with. And so we ended up using some food elements to make the chair, and this one uses popsicles and hot dogs to kind of create the arms and the backrest of the chair. So it's a really funny little detail. You get a whole bunch of them in kind of like this warm wood color, which you normally wouldn't get. So it's a funny little build.
In the Lord of the Rings universe, there is a lot of history, and we wanted to represent that in wall decorations. So with stickers that Madison O'Neill created, we gave a little bit of history in the Lord of the Rings world. So you could see the battle against Sauron, but you can also see the forging of the ring, and we have 2 landscape portraits that are shown into the model. And Maddie really did an amazing job on creating these stickers with the history and the world of the Lord of the Rings.
In this set, we had this unique opportunity of giving many of our characters their own weapons as seen in Lord of the Rings. And so we basically have this set of new weapons where we have a new design of Sting, we have the broken sword Narsil, we have a couple of Gimli's axes, we have Boromir's sword, we have Aragorn's sword, and we have a couple of Elvish blades.
In the set you can also find 3 new tiles. So we have the floor tile that you can find in the main building, and then 2 other tiles that are making up the star pattern underneath the socle where the ring is laying on. It was a really hard job to figure out the continuous pattern to make it repetitive, but luckily Mike's mathematical brain helped me out a lot, and we figured out the pattern and how to make it repetitive. And you can also combine it to make new patterns if you like it in your own builds.
I think throughout the model there's a lot of interesting building techniques, particularly to get all the different angles. So there's little things like we have an angled doorway, there's an entire gazebo front entrance section is all built on an angle and it's fixed into place, so that's a really interesting build to get just right. The way the roof is mounted also has some really interesting triangles to make that work. Some of the internal structure also has like a big trapezoid shape which all fits into the Lego system to provide some rigid structural support but still have that elegant thinness of the elven architecture that we were trying to capture.
Also the tower with the statues, which is kind of like an octagon shape. We used some of the newer slope elements to kind of close all the gaps, and has car wheel wells over top of the statues. So it was kind of a fun way to have this faceted tower with trying to close all the gaps.
I think my favorite part of the set is the council build itself, the tree with the chairs around the socle where the ring is laying on. The cool thing is that you can also take it off the model to have it as a separate side build to decorate your own desk, for example, at home or at work.
As a kid, I watched Lord of the Rings and I bought these replica swords and was really inspired by those designs to become the designer I am today. And getting to design these same blades for Lego was just an amazing experience.